and as if domain modeling is kind of a design method. But it seems that this modeling thing is a way to study the domain. So it should be an analysis method. So I want to know.
Okay, so the relationship between analysis and design. Very often people say those two things are very separate. I agree that analysis is distinguishable from design, but I say we have to bring them together to get a good result. So when I talk about model, it is true. I'm talking about analyzing the nature of the domain. But I'm not trying to, in a way, separate from my goal. What is my goal? My goal is to create software. So suppose that I could analyze the domain and find a model, and it would even solve the problem very nicely in theory. But it was difficult to implement in the kind of programming languages and the kind of frameworks that we have to deal with. A practical example might be, suppose that I come up with an object model which has a lot of very fine structure in it, and I have to map this into a relational database with Hibernate. And I realized that the mapping will be very complicated and perhaps very slow. The performance of the program might be slow. So I say, although if I were looking only at analysis, I might say this model is good. But if I look at the actual need that I have to implement something that looks like that, then I might reject that model and go finding another one, because there is always another one. There's always another model. So I'm looking for one that is nice for analysis in the sense that it's very clear, but also practical to build.
So again, it's about how to use the model.
Again, it's how to use the model, exactly. And one of the things we must do is create an implementation. And what happens if you have a nice model that does not lend itself to good implementation is that the people who implement it will have to just change it. And by the way, those people could be the same people. I don't think you have to have one people doing the modeling and one group of people doing the programming. But even if it's the same people, they'll just say, oh, well, I guess we have to change it. This is why that diagram goes around and around and around. Yeah. We think we have a good model, then we start to write some code. Perhaps we realize this model is not very practical to implement. Or we might even find a flaw in the model, because when you're programming, you realize that, oh, we analyzed this and this and this, but we sort of overlooked the detail here. And it's a very important detail. And then you go back into the modeling work, not just keep going forward.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
OK，还有其他问题吗？OK。